Okay, so on December 20th, 1860, South Carolina formally seceded from the Union. Remember, seceded means to leave. Um, Within the next 6 weeks, 6 other states voted to secede. And those states bonded together and became the Confederate States of America. That's South Carolina, in case you forgot. And then the other 6 states that joined them were all, again, in the Deep South: Georgia, Florida, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, and Texas. They elected their own president, Jefferson Davis. He was elected on February 9th, 1861. This event, Fort Sumter, is considered the official beginning of the Civil War. It's when the first shots were fired. Fort Sumter is an old base that's located off of the coast of South Carolina. There were basically, like, the United States military was there because it's a military base, and they were Union soldiers because they belonged to the United States military, right? But because it was right off the coast of South Carolina, it was in Confederate territory, and Confederate soldiers, Southern soldiers, decided to try and take it back. So they fired upon it. The fort did not fight back, and they surrendered the fort. This was the official first battle of the war. Shortly thereafter, the states Arkansas, Tennessee, South Carolina, and Virginia joined the Confederacy. So this poses a problem here with Virginia joining the Confederacy because Washington, D.C. is right here-ish, right on the border of Virginia and Maryland. Maryland was also about to join the Confederacy, but there was an interesting story about keeping them from joining it. So right here on the border of the North is the capital for the North. This is a problem for any of you military tacticians. Virginia was also, as we know, it's just plain a really important state in American history. A bunch of the founding fathers were from Virginia, and it has a lot of power. And so Virginia joining the Confederate States of America was a big blow to the North. Richmond in Virginia became the capital of the Confederacy. Here's what Jefferson Davis says when he became elected. He says, "I enter upon the duties of the office to which I have been chosen with the hope that the beginning of our career as a Confederacy may not be obstructed by hostile opposition to our enjoyment of the separate existence and independence which we have asserted, and, with the blessing of Providence, intend to maintain. Our present condition, achieved in a manner unprecedented in the history of nations, illustrates the American idea that governments rest upon the consent of the governed, and that it is the right of the people to alter or abolish governments whenever they become destructive to the ends for which they were established." So he's like paraphrasing the Declaration of Independence there with this consent of the governed, that they be abolished, that governments be abolished whenever they're destructive to which the ends that they were established. That's basically right out of the Declaration of Independence. Okay, the war has officially begun. I want you to stop and think about this. The President of the Confederate States, Jefferson Davis, explained that they had the right to secede because they didn't agree with the government. Remember, this is important. What is the big issue that they didn't agree with? What did they officially go to war over? Think about that, write it down on your scratch paper, and then continue when you're ready. Okay, so Fort Sumter was not much of a battle. It was officially the first shots fired in the Civil War, but you'd be hard-pressed to officially call it a battle. The Battle of Bull Run, which is called First Manassas because there was another battle in that same spot later, Um, that could be considered the first official battle of the Civil War. The Union and the Confederacy met here on this battlefield called Manassas, and people kind of took it as a joke at first. People knew that this battle was going to happen, and there were reports of people like bringing picnics to a hill outside of the battlefield to watch the battle. They didn't think it was actually going to be as serious as it turned out to be. There's a quote over on the side here. It says, "In excitement to see a real live battle, citizens in the area came to watch the fight unfold. None realized what a real battle might look like. On the Army's retreat to Washington, the roads were full of carriages as the viewers retreated from the horrors as well." So as the armies were retreating, so were the random people who had come to watch, and it really made a whole mess of things. The Battle of First Manassas made both sides realize that the war would be longer and bloodier than people thought. Here's a quote from the New York Times just after that battle. "Governor Morgan, it will be seen by his proclamation, published in another column, has concluded, under the requisition of the President, for more troops, to call for 25,000 additional volunteers to serve for 3 years or during the war." That first paragraph there is saying basically that the governor is going to raise up 25,000 more volunteer troops for the North. Second paragraph. "It's expected at Fortress Monroe that Magruder, the rebel commander at Yorktown, emboldened by the success at Manassas Junction, will make a demonstration in the direction of Hampton or Newport News. All our regiments there are now inside their entrenchments and ready for him whenever he chooses to show himself." So these are the first official words of battle. Now it's starting to sound like war. If you read the words in this newspaper, imagine that everyone thought this was a joke, and then the first battle of Manassas happens, and it becomes real to everybody. And down there in that second paragraph, it's saying that there is going to be like actual war. Regiments are in their entrenchments waiting for him. So this is how the Civil War begins, from nothing to become something very serious. All right, be diligent in your work this week. This is an important topic, so pay attention and really soak in the information. Have fun.